Hello, good day to one and all. This is Miss A. Krishna Sundar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KAHM Unity Women's College, Manjeri. Today we would be discussing Adrian Ritz's Claiming an Education. So we would be starting with an introduction and we would move on from paragraph 1 to 6 in this particular episode. So again, the title, Claiming an Education. So before moving on to the text, I would like to give an introduction regarding the author, Adrian Rich. Now, Rich was an American poet, an essayist, and a political activist. She was born in Baltimore, USA in the year 1929, and she married Alfred H. Conrad, a Harvard economist. She was considered as a radical feminist. Now, there is a slight difference between a normal feminist and a radical feminist because a radical feminist poses more challenges to the society. A radical feminist is someone who's very adamant on breaking the social context of building up this patriarchal system. So, a radical feminist, in a way, is more powerful and more vituperative than an ordinary feminist. And she died in 2012 at the age of 82. She left her husband after identifying herself as a lesbian, and she started co-living with the Jamaican poet Michelle Cliff from 1976 onwards. So you can see the picture of Michelle Cliff. Now, Rich defined herself as a woman, lesbian, and feminist. She became a great champion of women's rights and stood for the cause of women. She openly criticized the patriarchal society in which women lived. She challenged the existing concepts about gender in society. She stood for the freedom for lesbians and homosexuals. So now let us look into these terms. Lesbian. Now, lesbian is a woman having sexual orientation towards women. And the term gay means a man having sexual orientation towards other men. Now, see, lesbian and gay, these are the terms which are very common today. But the time when Rich was delivering this speech, and that was in the year 1977, these were not terms which were really acceptable in the society, in the then society. Even today, we can see there are lots of changes that have come in the perception level, new systems related with law, but still there are many societies where these people are completely treated as abnormal people. Because normally in a society, people believe that a man should be attracted to a woman and a woman should be attracted to a man. So if there is an inclination, a sexual inclination towards the same sex, that was considered as a crime or that was considered as something which is abnormal. So Rich lived during a period when these people were not completely accepted in the society. So both lesbians and gays can be considered as homosexuals. So the then society considered heterosexuality as normal. Heterosexuality is having a relationship with the opposite sex. So homosexuality was considered as abnormal. So moving on to some of the famous works written by Rich, Compulsory Heterosexuality and Lesbian Existence. Now this is an essay. A Change of World poetry collection. Now the remaining ones, again, they belong to the genre of poetry. The Diamond Cutters, Diving into the Wreck, The Dream of a Common Language, etc. So I have included only some of the very famous works. There are many other works written by Rich. So, regarding the text claiming an education, now this was a convocation speech delivered by Rich at Douglas College, New Jersey, USA in September 1977. She says education for women is actually her right. The speech was first printed in the magazine The Common Woman in 1977, and it is this printed version that we are studying here. So now I would like to take you towards some pictures of Douglas College. So this was the place where Rich delivered this convocation speech. And for your information, this Douglas College is a women's only college. So this is the entrance, and you can see this is the campus. So coming to the main ideas within the text, to have an awareness about gender discrimination and to build a society by treating everyone equally without any gender bias. Even after many decades, the speech is still relevant as gender equality is still not in existence. She stresses on the need for women to actively engage themselves in education. The curriculum everywhere is patriarchal or male dominated, and this has to change. So, these are the main ideas reflected within this text. So, now let's move on to the text as it is. So, before we begin, I want you to keep the copy of the text or the essay with you, and I want you to number the different paragraphs. Now, you might be thinking why I am asking you to number the paragraphs. I'm asking you to number the paragraphs because we should be on the same page when we discuss the text. So, if you number the paragraphs, it becomes very easy because we are actually doing an online communication. So, please start numbering the paragraphs. Now, once when you finish it, how many paragraphs are there in total? So, you can see there will be 12 paragraphs. So, let's begin. And today we would be dealing with the first 6 paragraphs, exactly half part of the essay. So I'm not going through the textual lines as it is. So I would be just explaining and giving you a summary of the different paragraphs. So moving on to the first paragraph, Rich is the speaker here, and she begins her speech by addressing the women students at the college. The speech is more about women students and women teachers here. So as I have mentioned before, this is a women's college. So there are women teachers, lady teachers, and women as students. So Rich begins this essay by talking about education. Education, she says, is much more than tests and grades. So sometimes this thought has occurred to me in different occasions because sometimes when we think about the present education system, sometimes we get the feeling that education is just reduced to the grades and marks that you get through these tests, assignments, and seminars. So, education is actually something beyond these marks and grades. Education is actually something which can empower you. To empower you means to make you more powerful, to bring a powerful individual out of you. So, that is exactly the main intention of education. But sometimes, with the present busy system, education is just getting reduced to tests and grades. Education should be an intellectual contract between the teacher and the student. So, this is a very important line. Education should bring changes in a human being on a social level. So, this is what we really need from education. If you pass the exams, if you get high grades and good marks for these internals or test papers, it is not what we mean by education. Education, on a different perspective, should make you aware of things happening around you. It should make a better person out of you. So, it should give you some kind of empowerment. And this is the empowerment that Rich is going to talk about. She starts with the first part of this contract. So now getting into para 2, Rich suggests that you are here not to receive an education but to claim one. Now you might have noticed that it is written in italics, not to receive but to claim. Now there is a lot of difference between these two words, to receive and to claim. Now if you look at the entire text, this single line will actually give you the totality of the meaning emphasized within the text. The whole point of Rich's speech here is that a woman should get an education which is actually her birthright. Now, there is a lot of difference between the word to receive and to claim. To receive means you are getting it from somebody, someone is giving it to you. On the other hand, when you claim, when you use the term claim, there is an authority which is hidden inside. To claim something, for example, you might have heard of the term to claim the throne. So, claiming the throne means you have got some right to that throne. So, to claim means you have an authority, you have a right for that. And that is a major difference between receiving and claiming. To receive means you are at the sympathy of someone else. Someone is giving it to you. It is not what you actually have right upon. Someone is actually giving it to you. So you are under the authority of someone when you are receiving something. But at the same time, if you claim, it is your right. You are actually claiming your right. So there is a lot of difference between receiving and claiming. And Rich says that getting an education should be equivalent to claiming one, which means there is no need for someone else to give you an education or someone else to give you a green signal for getting educated. If you want to be educated, that is your right. There is no need for another person to give you that right. It is your right which you have the complete authority about. There is a lot of difference between receiving and claiming. It is like the difference between life and death. So, see the comparison that she makes. When you say you are receiving an education because someone is giving you that, you are doing it with the help of somebody else. Or I have heard some students telling, I'm coming to this college because my husband is allowing me for that. So I am dedicated or I am completely obliged to my in-laws, I'm obliged to my husband. So you give the credit to so many other people around. So that is not what we mean exactly here. It is not something which you have to receive. On the other hand, it is something which is like an authority or something as a rightful thing in your life. So she says that it is like the difference between life and death. So if you're receiving it at the sympathy of someone else, it is equivalent to death. But if you are claiming it for yourself as your right, then it is life. Claiming includes one's rightful possession. So education for women is actually their right and not something to be received as an option or favor from someone else. Now, this second paragraph actually summarizes the entire meaning of the text. Now, moving on to para 3, women's experiences are never part of any university syllabus. Though there are lots of girls studying in colleges, their numbers are very low when it comes to administration and higher jobs. Now, this is one thing which we can witness even today. When you look at the different positions, main positions like higher jobs and administration kind of positions, you always see men being placed in most of these contexts. So things have been changing, things are improving, we all know that. But remember, Rich is talking about this from a platform during the 1970s and 1980s where things were not very much developed. So she is suggesting that women are not seen anywhere in greater positions. Whatever you learn here, it is about men's history, men's experience, and men's relationships. So now she's talking about the curriculum and the textbooks that we study. Now again, I'm telling you, don't compare it with the textbooks that you are studying now because we are 30, 40 years ahead of the time now. This happened during the 1970s, 1980s. Okay, so we learn nothing about women's experiences. Now, this is one of the greatest drawbacks that you can see, which means all the textbooks that students study in colleges and universities, these are the textbooks written by men. These are the textbooks written by men written for men. It contains men's experience, it contains men's history and men's relationship. So the question here is that if a book cannot convey a woman's experience or a woman's history, can you really call that book as something which administers with human behavior? No, because human behavior means it should include both men and women. So we learn nothing about women's experiences. Above all, we learn only about white men's experiences. So this is another part of the story. When we say men, it is not always all the men in the world, because white men, again, they have a supremacy because they dominate the entire world. So if you talk about African culture or books written by blacks, books written by these Africans, they never become a part of the syllabus or curriculum. Maybe she was talking about the situation which existed during the 1970s and 80s. This imbalance has to be corrected. Women should change from their old roles of family and motherhood and turn themselves more into their own priorities and individualities. So, this is the message that Rich is trying to give us. She says that it is high time women think for themselves. Because we all know there are lots of women who are actually discontinuing their studies because they get married. They discontinue their studies because they have a baby. Sometimes they resign jobs to take care of the babies. So we come across these kind of instances and situations from our own experiences even today. Now this is what Rich says. Women should start changing. A change should come into the existence of women. Moving on to para 4, she says black people and minority people never became part of books. Now, this is really true when we start analyzing our own experiences. Even books can become races, opines Rich. It was only recently that women were allowed for higher education. However, we learn only about books like The Descent of Men. Now, see, this is really interesting. Now, look at the name of these texts: The Descent of Man, The Future of Men, One Dimensional Man. So, many examples that she is giving inside your text. So, just go through that. We call this human experience, where women experiences are completely ignored in all these textbooks. Now, let's talk about some of the books that we know. I remember studying Gandhiji's My Experiences with Truth, My Experiments with Truth during my school days. Now, that is one of the most famous books in Indian context. Again, Wings of Fire. Now, if you look at these two textbooks, again, you can see they are written by men. Now, let us take some examples from the world classics. For example, Mein Kampf, written by Hitler. That's a very famous book. Again, Anna Karenina or War and Peace. These are some of the famous books written by Leo Tolstoy. I'm sure you might have heard about Das Kapital, which is again written by Karl Marx. Again, Evolution Theory, a scientific book which is written by Charles Darwin. If you go back to 16th century Elizabethan period, you can see a number of plays written by Shakespeare. Now, have you ever thought about the realities behind that? If you look at 16th century Elizabethan England, you cannot see any woman as a writer because women were not allowed to write during that period of time. So, in many ways, women have been ignored and excluded from the real time human experience. So, we all have been studying a number of books. If you look at these books, majority of these books might be written by men again. But things are changing, things are improving. Definitely, Rich is talking about the 1970 1980 context. So, when women experiences are completely ignored, you cannot call it as human experience. So, moving on to paragraph 5. Despite these studies, feminist movements arose and many women teachers and students started demanding courses with women-oriented experiences and history. So today we know there are lots of courses and lots of papers related with feminism, feminist movements, women's studies, gender studies, etc., which gives more concentration on women representations and women experience. But people started calling these studies as unscholarly. So, this is the next part of the story. When people started studying about women's experiences, they were actually named as unscholarly. At the same time, if you read books written by men, they were termed as scholarly. We should understand that a society's human experience can be studied and analyzed only if female experiences are also included. So it's the same repetitive point. So moving on to para 6, which is the last paragraph that we are going to discuss now. Rich now comes with her most important point that more than studying women oriented courses, a woman, through her education, should take responsibility towards herself. Now, this is what we discussed at the earlier part of the discussion, empowering yourself. Women are often taught to be feminine, to be passive, to be submissive and silent. Now, I'm sure you would be having so many examples around you when we speak about a passive woman, a submissive woman, a woman who's always dominated by man. So, this has to change. This is the phase where a woman should change. If you cannot agree with something, you should have the power to disagree. So, this is a power that we should inculcate. This is a power that we should inculcate in the new generation. So, a woman should not be passive. She has to speak. If there is a context where she should disagree, she should have the power to disagree. Now, this is what Rich is trying to convey here to these girl students. So, women should change from their conventional roles to their own priorities, because we see many women who have discarded their own interest and priorities in the name of family, in the name of children. They have so many excuses through which they actually discard their own interests. So, this has to change. Now, if this has to change, a woman should take the responsibility for herself. You have to take control of your life. And this is what Rich is advising this younger generation. So, with this, we'll come to the end of this discussion. So, the remaining paragraphs, that is paragraph 7 till paragraph 12, will be discussed in another session. So, thank you for your patient listening. In case if you have got any doubts or clarifications, please do not hesitate to connect with me. So, thank you. Thank you, one and all.